I call BS on the jobs report. What's up, everybody? Welcome aboard to the Bubba's Bottom Line for Sunday, August the 7th. And my God, is this year flying by? Back to school, all kinds of things. And I do call BS on the jobs report. Now, again, I'm not blaming just this administration. This has been going on forever. Okay, this is, first of all, we use the wrong numbers to look at. We look at the U3, which is 3 months instead of 6 months, which is the U6. But at the end of the day, it's a bunch of crap anyways. And of course, when the teachers come off the payroll and they come out of the jobs and then they go back on, it's a whole mess. It's a finagling of numbers, which again, we just call BS. Okay. President Biden hasn't magically found the formula. Everywhere you go, nobody's got help. Nobody wants to work. And we've got more people that have dropped off the unemployment roll, which makes the number look better. But either way, nobody should be taking credit for what we would say would be a great number because it wasn't that big a deal. Okay. This is what we're talking about, and this is what it means. And again, remember, we're getting a lot of these returning finally from COVID, but yet we have a lot less people actually working. So there's a fine line in this whole thing. So I call bullshit. Okay. I also call bullshit on JP Morgan and Goldman Sachs trying to figure out what the Fed's going to do on their next rate hike. One says 0.75, one says 0.50. Well, if you take the great jobs number from Friday, maybe make it a full point, okay? Because, of course, the San Francisco Fed president said that she don't feel anything about inflation. Of course, if you were making $420,000 a year, inflation probably wouldn't bother you either. It's always amazing how arrogant and what pieces of crap some of these people are that live in another world, okay? That have control and don't have the same responsibilities as the average American does to take care of a family that's making $75,000 a year instead of $420,000. Okay, doesn't get all their expenses paid for, plus their special hospitalization plans. We have that crap known as Obamacare, okay, which is ridiculously expensive and lousy, versus what government has, which is their own private health care, which is phenomenal. Okay, so when one of those people come out and say that inflation doesn't mean anything to them, it's kind of a sad state of affairs as we as Americans have to suffer through because we pay those idiots. Okay, which makes it even a bigger problem. And of course, there's a lot of scuttlebutt about the Brittany Griner got 9.5 years for drug possession or trying to transport, whatever the charge was exactly. Now, isn't she the same Brittany Griner that would not stand nor even come out for the national anthem? But now everybody's battling for the United States to help her. Now, look, I do not want to see a prisoner swap of some murderous killer arms dealer to get her out. I mean, do we not take responsibility for ourselves? And why are we working so hard on someone who has expressed what I would call anti-American? Okay, again, if you're not going to stand up for the national anthem, okay, or you're not going to show up for the national anthem, I think to me that's a problem. Okay, to me, that is an anti-American sentiment. Again, maybe it's just the young people. I've talked to a number of people that say that they don't feel it is anti-American, which again, this is what America is still about until for now, is we are all entitled to our opinion. But, our military is not governmental. Okay, they have their opinions like we all do. They all get to vote. But our military is defending us. So when they play the national anthem, you should be standing and praying for those people that are our military, okay, that are our public servants, that work for virtually no money, but yet defend your life and your right to do a lot of things. So do they have the right? Do we have the right not to stand? Of course we have that right. But I just think it's wrong. And now that they need help, and suddenly, well, we're back into, well, let's help. And again, I don't find that to be such a big deal in my eyes. Okay. Now, again, for all of you that always get onto this manipulation of metals and spoofing, and it's really, you call it manipulation. It is spoofing. And a big hedge fund manager from, I think, Las Vegas, was playing in the World Series of Poker and got arrested there for spoofing the market. Now, again, spoofing is a way of trying to create an artificial price that may or may not exist. And of course, in his case, it did not exist. But what he was trying to do was to establish a market and then have people try to trade off of that big size, which then that big size would disappear. Okay, that is spoofing the market. We've all done it, whether you're selling a car, a house. If you're selling one of your possessions to somebody else, you're trying to make the value seem more than it is. And that is the same as in trading. And listen, if traders can't follow that price action, then they probably shouldn't be trading. Okay. But, as we celebrate the amazing jobs number, okay, Walmart, Robinhood, Oracle, and others are laying off employees. So wait a second. I thought we had such a great job number, yet companies are laying off. And this is the third week in a row or fourth week in a row we've talked about layoffs from different companies. So I guess maybe jobs are not so good. Okay. And of course, as we take a look in the in the real estate market, now Denver at one point was one of the hottest markets there was. And suddenly Denver's got sales are off 31.6% year over year. Okay. The inventory is up 81.5%. Okay. So suddenly we're seeing this amazing backlog of inventory. And of course, listen, as we've said here many, many times, it goes right back to what interest rates are. Okay. It's that simple. Okay. High interest rates lead to slower housing sales. We have been spoiled by the thievery and fraudulent actions of our Federal Reserve that has artificially reduced our dollars to kasha. Okay. Now, when their interest rates go back up and we have to pay real rates, I mean, anybody who's over the age of probably 45 has paid a 10 or 12% mortgage, not 3. So suddenly there's a backlog because, of course, houses aren't flipping off the market. In fact, even here in Vegas, typically, 6 months ago, a year ago, you put up a house for sale one day, it sold. Okay, my neighbor in a nice area here is selling their house and haven't been able to sell it all of a sudden. So all of a sudden, you're seeing the signs of things ain't so good, and I think that is correct. And of course, as we look across the ocean and we see the UK now has water restrictions, okay, which we have here in Nevada as well, but theirs are much more serious right now. With the dramatic heat, okay, Germany's electricity prices are at record highs. Okay, so fuel's at record highs, electricity at record highs. How is everybody going to pay for everything? Okay, how are we going to get through? And if you think it's just going to be there, you got another thing coming to you, because what happens there is going to happen here. It may not be at the same rate. And isn't it a sad state of affairs, which unfortunately we have to talk about this almost every week, that we could solve not only our inflation problems, but theirs as well. But nobody chooses it. We choose not to. Instead, we choose to watch Biden fly out and beg Saudi Arabia for oil, okay, flying his 747 Air Force One at a cost of probably $20 million to go there. to beg for nothing, knowing that you're not going to get any. And then you've got the idiot Pelosi flying into China, creating a lot more tension in the China-Taiwan. We have talked about this here for 6 months or 7 months, that China was going into Taiwan. There was no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And now it's happening as they're now having some war games over the area there. Okay. And again, I think that when you look at the big picture of the economy, you look at what's going on, life in the United States of America is not so good at this moment. Okay. You are seeing dramatic debt being piled up. Okay. You are seeing that the consumer is slowing. Okay. You can see that when you go to the grocery store, your costs are rising. Okay. And from every point, we are getting bombarded from every point. But I think the best news of the week is that Governor Abbott from Texas and the governor from Arizona are as the illegal immigrants are coming in, they are sending bus loads to Washington, D.C. and to New York City, because, of course, they tell us that we should all welcome them. Well, so let them welcome them and let them pay for it. The 70% that California pays out of their budget to support illegal aliens doesn't make a lot of sense. My question is why can't illegals come in the legal way? Last week we talked about that out of 156 illegals that got arrested coming into Arizona, 116 were already convicted felons in the United States of America, yet they continue to let them come in. So thank God bless Governor Abbott for sending bus loads of illegals. Okay, they're chartering buses and they're sending them cross country right to Washington, D.C. And of course, in Washington, D.C., what do they want now? They want to call out the National Guard, okay, for protection. Okay, so the all of the things that they preach to us day in and day out, from guns to defund the police to all the other stuff, now they want protection because suddenly they are flooded with illegal aliens. Okay, it's interesting when you continue to watch and look at how these things happen. So it's funny how it's always okay when it's not happening here. Okay, when it's at your place, it's great. Okay, when it's happening here, not so good. And this is the bigger problem that we are suffering from. Okay, is that Washington, D.C. believes that they're separate from everybody, and they think that they shouldn't be subject. They can try to make the rules. But my real question goes back to, why can't we just read the Constitution, which states very simply, government goes city, county, state, and the federal government oversees, which is not supposed, the federal government is not supposed to be the biggest employer in the world. Okay. They're supposed to be overseeing all of these things and are there almost as mediators or whatever. But suddenly we've come into this, that they've got control of the money, they've got control of everything, and basically the states are left to beg. And to me, it is run totally backwards, but that's how it is now. And we need to make the proper changes. This is Bubba's Bottom Line. It is Sunday, the 7th of August. We're going to step out here for a break. We'll be back with our market report right after the break and more of Bubba's Bottom Line. Todd Bubba Horowitz will be right back. Well, kids, look, as you know, we got our Vegas trip coming up, and for those of you thinking about it, our early bird special ends Friday, the 12th. And as I've mentioned to many of my members so far, In Vegas, we'll be teaching a money management strategy that has been taught nowhere before and will be taught nowhere again. Okay, it can be either live streamed or attended live, either one, your choice. But obviously, it's a phenomenal event. Always a lot of great education. And, again, obviously, if you've ever been on a call with me, you know how important that me educating you is, as I find it very troubling, the lack of education. But check out our Vegas trip if you'd like to join us. And, of course, don't forget about our brokerage partners. Now, I have many brokers, but the ones I prefer for futures and commodities, which is Capital Trading Group. In fact, we're partners with them on our Day Trader's Dream, and they do handle 90% of my accounts. But it's the Capital Trading Group, info.capitaltradinggroup.com/Bubba. That's info.capitaltradinggroup.com/Bubba. And, of course, for equities and options, trade here, $10 a month. How can you pass that up? Okay. In the meantime, Trader has not only $10 a month, but we have the ability to auto trade our equity portfolios for you at no charge through Trader. Okay. Our hedging is a licensing fee to us, but Trader's fees don't change. All auto traded. They're going to have cryptos very soon. Check them out. try.trader.com/Bubba. That's try.trader.com/Bubba. And of course, don't forget about our high school program, which is becoming a bigger challenge because, of course, we can't get the teachers that will teach it because, God forbid, they should have to work a little bit. Okay. Anyways, that's at patreon.com/Bubba Trading. That's patreon.com/Bubba Trading. Scrolling on the bottom or on the side, you can check them out. In the meantime, let's get back to Bubba's Bottom Line and, of course, my market report. Welcome back. It is Bubba's Bottom Line. It is Sunday, August the 7th. And, well, market's kind of funky chicken, but there's not much volume going on. For the week, the major indices were all pretty much higher. The Dow was flattish, okay, but everything else was slightly higher. We have a very interesting period right now. Volatility is getting crushed. They keep buying markets like they're free. And listen, we don't argue we're long. So again, it's not like, we're going to tell you not to participate. I just think that, again, that we're seeing some artificial movement. And again, I won't violate the trends no matter what my opinion is. I still believe we have a 50 to 60% haircut coming. But in the meantime, as we take a peek around the products that we do trade, and of course the dollars are still going up. Now they've been really churning, but we're long dollars, and they're well over $1.07. Okay, or $1.06.5, and we're still long. The euro's getting crushed, but again, it got down to that par and bounced. I think our next stop will be somewhere in the 90s before we go to 88 cents. And with the British pound in trouble, which we don't talk about here, but with the pound in trouble, that should also create some issues for the euro. Bitcoin we're now long Bitcoin. And it was a moderate week, pretty flat, pretty stoic, but we are now long the Bitcoin. Bonds and notes were under some pressure. Now we're still long, but they've really become very wild. And again, it doesn't make sense. I don't really want to be long because it's not logical, especially with the Fed continuing to raise rates. Okay, but yet here you go. So again, you can't argue with the market. And you can't argue about correlation because correlations only mean something when they actually mean something. And right now they mean nothing. We're still long bonds and notes, but they did have a rough week and we're lower on the week. The metals, look, gold and silver on Thursday looked like they were going to Pluto. On Friday, they suddenly reversed and turned around again. And they just can't seem to break out and seem like they're just trading in a wider range. The gold was higher for the week. Silver was lower for the week. And platinum is back over 900. Now, we don't trade platinum anymore, but we are still short gold and silver. And I think that, look, long term, I'm a big fan, but short term here, I think we got a lot of room to go on the downside before. In the copper markets, they pushed up, but were slightly lower. But again, they're up against a resistance level. They're on that verge of potentially changing. Okay, natural gas was lower for the week. We're still long. It pushed up, but again, it kind of held support. So now we're bouncing back higher. If you look at what's going on around the globe, you have to assume prices should only go higher. Crude oil under pressure still. We're still short. Now, it's interesting. I didn't think we'd see back in the 80s again before we saw new highs. But certainly either our demand is falling or whatever's going on, or maybe we've actually increased output without saying anything. We don't know. I mean, certainly, I believe that we should be drilling and putting it out as much as we can because A, if we're a net exporter, we don't have inflation at these ridiculous costs. And B, we could actually help our allies in Germany and the UK. But why would we want to do that? Let's let Russia continue to torture them to no end. In the meantime, in the grain markets, which were long soybeans, short corn and wheat, and they were all kind of last week, a little bit lower. I just really think when I look at them, I go, to me, this reeks of a potential forced liquidation attempt by major funds trying to push them down low enough to force the banks to get involved, to force their farmers out. So it looks kind of tricky. I think we're short 2 out of the 3, right? We're only long soybeans. But overall, I think we're going a lot higher. Okay. And as we take a look at the beef, pretty flattish to higher. I don't know how much higher they're going to go. I'm not bearish. We're long fats, feeders, and hogs. I don't think they're going a lot lower. But I don't think there's much more room on the upside, barring some major catastrophe of some type of virus or something of that nature. And in the softs, you have cocoa, which is lower, which we're still short. Sugar, which was a little bit higher, but we're still short. Coffee, we're short, was lower. OJ exploded, which we are long. And cotton is trying to make a little turn, but again, it's still down 50%. So I think, look, at the end of the day, I'm a huge fan of commodities in here, especially the softs, the consumables. But again, you're going to have to suffer through, remember they're thinner markets, so that's just the way they trade. But overall, we've been day trading very well, but it's still very challenging and very tough. And I urge you in all of your trading to be very cautious and very conservative because there is no point to being overly aggressive here. And we're going to step out here for our final break, and we'll be back with, of course, our commentary right after the break. Bubba's Bottom Line. Well, my friends, and of course, I'm not going to read through all this stuff, but scrolling on the bottom is our sponsors, Capital Trading Group, Trader Brokerage. They both have tremendous benefit to our members. Okay, I use them both almost exclusively, although I have other brokers. But there's so many advantages. And of course, don't forget about our Vegas trip, the early bird, either for the live stream or for the live attendance, expires on Friday the 12th. But you can check it out, or I can send you a link. And of course, don't forget about our high school program as we try to educate America because it is a disaster what they're learning now. In the meantime, let's get back to Bubba's Bottom Line with me, Todd Bubba Horwitz, and of course, my commentary. Welcome back. This is Bubba's Bottom Line. It is Sunday, August the 7th. And of course, every week I give you what I'm thinking. And, we continue to get told how great the economy is and how great the balance sheet is. And we never hear about the debt. We never hear about the food shortage. And what we're really not hearing about is the massive amount of debt that banks and consumers are in right now. Okay. And from experience that massive amounts of debt can only lead to massive amounts of defaults and massive amounts of failure, which means that we would see lots of consumers going bankrupt, as well as a lot of financial institutions that will be once again probably bailed out by the Federal Reserve, which would again just another tax for the people of the United States of America. Don't buy into the bullshit at how good everything is. Look at your own bank account. Look at how you're doing. If you're doing great, phenomenal. Thrilled for you. But most Americans are struggling because of high rents, because of high debt service, because they borrowed too much money as they went through the pandemic. And we have not seen many come back to work as much as we hear how great the jobs number are. But the overall debt service and credit card debt is at record highs. Okay, which means that not only are many of the consumers in trouble, but so are many of the banks. And if you think about it, you will know how that movie ends. We've seen it end before. It will end the same way. So be careful, be good, and of course, football's back. So it's good to be, and this is the last weekend of no football. And from now until February, we got football every weekend, whether it be college or pro. In the meantime, have a great weekend, everybody. As always, I thank you. We'll see you back here tomorrow with Bubba's Daily Update. But until next week in Bubba's Bottom Line, have a great one, everybody. Be careful. Don't extend yourself, and make sure that you are defending your capital at all times, at all costs. Bubba's Bottom Line. We'll see you later, everybody.